Madam Deputy Speaker.
Let us pray. Almighty God, where you have called us to govern this province, we ask your help to make decisions and laws that will be just and will promote the interests of the people. Almagtige God, ons bid dat u gedurende ons vergaderings ons die nodigheid wysheid sal gee en ons motiewe suiwer sal hou en dat u ons sal help om ons tekortkominge te oorkom en al ons besluite aan u op te dra. Sikelele elizwe letu na bantu balo, umesili lukulungu kipondu letu. Nkosi sikelele I Afrika, tlina abantwana bayo, kokela inkokeli zayo, nika ikolo I Afrika. All this we beg in your holy name. Amen. You may be seated. A very good morning to everyone here that is online for this sitting for today. Before we begin, I have to announce that due to the resignation of membership of Mr. T.M. Klaas of the EFF party, a vacancy occurred in the representation of the EFF party in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. This vacancy has since been filled by the nomination of Mr. G.W. Kasibe with effect from 12 April 2024. Mr. G.W. Kasibe was sworn in the Speaker's office on the 12th of April 2024, and a very warm welcome. Honourable members, before we begin the actual sitting, I would just like to go through some of the important processes. We do know that the media have been granted access to the MS Teams meeting as guests, and please, any guests online to have their microphones muted. They may not put their video cameras on either, and any individual that does so will be exited from the sitting. Honourable members are also reminded that no interjections are permitted during these virtual sittings, and to this end, I draw the honourable members' attention to Rule 40 of our standing rules. I now recognise the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I move a motion that notwithstanding the provision of Rule 18, that the hours of the sitting for today, the 21st of May 2024, shall be from 10 o'clock until adjournment. I so move, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Any objections? No objections? Agreed to. I will now ask that the Secretary read the first order of the day.
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Upstream Petroleum Resource Development Bill, B13B 2021.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pogenpoel. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Upstream Petroleum Resource Development Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognise the ANC.
Good morning, Madam Deputy Speaker, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Honourable Deputy Speaker and members of the House, as we gather to deliberate on the Upstream Petroleum Resource Development Bill, the bill's objectives are grounded in the governing party, the ANC's commitment to uphold the sovereignty of the Republic over its natural resources, ensure equitable access and foster inclusive economic growth. It is our duty to recognize the vast potential this sector holds for economic opportunities, financial prosperity and tourism development within our borders. Deputy Speaker, we must understand the upstream petroleum development to encompass the exploration and production of oil and gas, which is currently regulated under Chapter 6 of the Mineral and Petroleum Resource Development Act. The existing provisions fall short in addressing the critical aspects required for the growth of the sector. Part of this critical aspect, which this piece of legislation seeks to affirm, is that the bill reaffirms the state's internationally recognized right to exercise sovereignty over all petroleum resources within the Republic. By cementing the state's role as the custodian of these resources, the bill ensures that their development and utilization are aligned with national interest. This custodianship is crucial for managing resources sustainably and transparently, fostering a stable environment for investment and growth. Deputy Speaker, the upstream petroleum sector holds immense potential for driving economic growth through this bill that will be passed. It will promote exploration and production activities. The bill is designed to stimulate economic activity, generate employment, and significantly boost national revenue. A robust regulatory framework will attract both domestic and international investment, facilitating technological advancements and infrastructure development, which are essential for a thriving petroleum industry. A key objective of the bill is to ensure equitable access to the nation's petroleum resources for all South Africans. It aims to create opportunities for historically disadvantaged communities to engage in the petroleum sector, thus fostering inclusive economic growth. By implementing policies that promote equitable access, we can ensure that the benefits of resource development are widely shared, reducing inequality and promoting social cohesion. The bill is particularly focused on empowering Black South Africans, addressing historical injustices, and promoting economic inclusivity by expanding opportunities for Black individuals to enter and actively participate in the upstream petroleum sector. The legislation aims to create a more equitable economic landscape. This empowerment is not just a moral imperative, but a strategic necessity to harness the full potential of our nation's human capital, ensuring that Black South Africans have a substantial and meaningful participation in the petroleum industry and drive broader economic growth, reduce inequality and social cohesion. In conclusion, as we move forward, it is imperative that we implement legislation with diligence and commitment, ensuring that its benefits are realized by all South Africans. And as an ANC, we support the bill. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Nkondlo. I move over to the EFF.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Greetings to everyone. Greetings to honorable members. Speaker, I'm a doctor. I have a PhD in sociology. So I would have preferred if I'd been introduced as a doctor as well, Speaker. But I understand under the circumstances. Thank you very much. Our people, the poorest of the poor, appreciate the fact that petroleum, like all mineral resources, remain a common heritage for all and should be under the custodianship of the state on behalf of the people. Our people can see that there is a deliberate and relentless effort to reduce the role of the state to that of a mere administrator in the mining rights, whilst the beneficiaries of colonialism and apartheid continue to benefit even in the post-apartheid South Africa. As Deputy Speaker, it is important from the onset to mention that the Minerals and Petroleum Resources Development Act of 2002 transferred all minerals to the custodianship of the state on behalf of South Africans. However, only less than 7 or 5 million of the 62 million South Africans remain the only beneficiaries of our minerals, which is unacceptable because the majority of our people continue to be excluded from benefiting economically from the resources of this country. Deputy Speaker, South Africa does not need an additional legislation to separate the petroleum from the Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act. If any, we should be capacitating Petro SA, a state-owned petroleum company with a rich history of more than 50 years in the industry, and give it more strategic role instead of advancing the interest of foreign multinational companies such as Total, which continues to enrich themselves with our resources and move capital out of this country. Deputy Speaker, it is a fact that multinational companies that will be given rights to extract our natural resources are not interested in the transformation of South African economy. The Western imperialists, particularly the United States, Britain, and Western Europe, are not interested are only interested in their neo-colonial project to keep Africa and the rest of South Africa poor. Furthermore, the bill is too vague. In many areas, it failed to put the threshold of 50% of all oil and natural gas must be produced and processed in South Africa to build industrialization. Deputy Speaker, it is for these reasons and many similar to these that the EFF vehemently rejects the proposed upstream petroleum resources development bill. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. For the record, I recognise that Good and the Freedom Front Plus have tendered their apologies. We will move straight over to the ACDP. ACDP. Okay, I'm going to then move over to Al-Jamal.
Oh, thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and good morning to you. Good morning to all the colleagues again. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Al-Jamal, we support this bill, this petroleum upstream bill of the ANC, and we make dua, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the ANC political party, they stay in power nationally. And we also pray and we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the ANC takes the lead in the Western Cape after the elections, inshallah, and they keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the DA cannot support the Australian Petroleum Resources Development Bill. After thorough consideration by the committee, we have concluded that this bill, as it stands, is deeply flawed, both procedurally and substantively, requiring a complete redraft. Firstly, we identified significant procedural concerns. The Socioeconomic Impact Assessment, or otherwise known as the CS report, provided up to us in draft from December 2029 is outdated, or rather 2019 is outdated and fails to reflect the current socio-economic context and suggests improper legislative processes. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy must ensure that the CS is updated and publicly available, providing an in-depth analysis of the bill's impact. Procedurally, the bill also falls short of clearly defining numerous terms. For instance, it is not clear whether the definition of development is inclusive of upstream petroleum infrastructure. The relationship between these two terms should be clarified in the bill. While the department's response to the committee indicated that the term development inherently includes upstream petroleum infrastructure, clarity is needed to eliminate ambiguity around a bill of such significant repercussions. Substantively, the bill lacks clarity and comprehensive definitions, and this has been clearly demonstrated. Moreover, the bill does not incorporate essential climate change mitigation measures. It must be embedded, particularly around provisions with carbon reduction targets, and align with South Africa's international commitments emphasizing sustainable development. The proposed state petroleum company framework and the 20% carried interest for the state in petroleum rights is also problematic. These provisions may deter potential investors and do not ensure the necessary transparency and accountability, particularly when compared with nations such as Namibia. While ensuring the country's mineral wealth directly benefits South Africa is an important policy objective, these provisions could deter investors with stipulations that every company applying for mining rights must be owned by a BEE partner. The bill must reassess these provisions to balance empowerment with investment and attractiveness. Given these substantive and procedural issues, the DA cannot support the bill in its current form. We recommend a complete redraft to address these concerns, ensuring the bill promotes environmental sustainability, economic viability, and equitable benefits for all South Africans. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members
the white
present.
majority.
Order, please. Order, members, if you can just mute your microphones. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Upstream Petroleum Resource Development Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill, be ratified and adopted. Any objections?
No.
Objection.
There are
Object.
They will be
Object.
recorded. They will be recorded. I would imagine that if we have the ayes or the nays, if we're in favor of the report, can we please say A or nay?
Aye.
Aye.
Right,
Aye.
I think the ayes have it. Thank you very much. The question is
How do
approved.
we know that the ayes have it?
We have 30 members, honourable member. So I'm taking it that there is a majority support for not supporting the bill. We have recognised the ANC's opposition vote. Thank you very much. So the report on the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Upstream Petroleum Resource Development Bill has therefore been adopted. Thank you. Mr. Pochenpoel, please read the second order of the day.
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, B16B 2023.
Thank you very much. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognise the ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And honourable members of the House, the ANC in the House declares its support for the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill. This bill represents a critical advancement in the legislative framework governing small enterprises in South Africa by amending the National Small Enterprise Act of 1996, which seeks to provide a more robust support system for small businesses, fostering an environment conducive to their growth and sustainability. The bill seeks to streamline and integrate various support agencies to create a cohesive support system for small enterprises. By establishing the Small Enterprise Development Finance Agency, the bill aims to consolidate resources and services, making it easier for small enterprises to access the support they need. A significant highlight of the bill is the creation of a one-stop shop that will serve as a central hub for small enterprises development and financial services. This initiative is designed to simplify the process for small enterprises, reducing bureaucratic hurdles and providing a comprehensive suite of services in a single location. To ensure a fair business environment, the bill includes measures to address unfair trading practices. We must understand that while the bill grants powers to declare certain practices as unfair, there are stringent checks and balances in place to regulate these powers. This ensures that the declaration of unfair trading practices is both fair and justified. The establishment of the Office of the Small Enterprise Ombuds is a cornerstone of the bill. This office will play a critical role in ensuring accountability, addressing issues such as late payments and unfair business practices. The Ombuds will provide a platform for small enterprises to resolve disputes effectively and affordably. The bill is specifically designed to empower small, micro, and medium enterprises and cooperatives. By providing targeted financial and non-financial support, the bill aims to create an enabling environment to these enterprises to thrive and contribute to the broader economy. The bill's significance in addressing economic challenges and promoting entrepreneurship. In conclusion, the National Small Enterprises Amendment Bill B16B 2023 represents a significant step forward in supporting and empowering small enterprises in South Africa. And as the ANC, we do support the bill.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognise the EFF.
Thank you once again, Deputy Speaker. The EFF supports the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill. This bill aims to reduce and minimize bureaucratic hurdles and obstacles that quite often obstruct small businesses from accessing financial support in order to grow their businesses. The proposed measure of CFA-SEDA and Cooperative Bank into Small Enterprise Development Financial Agency is a step in the right direction in that it rectifies the deficiencies of the Department of Small Business indirectly supporting small enterprises. Deputy Speaker, it is our position as the EFF that the proposed Section 3A and the amendment of Section 20, which empower the Minister to regulate unfair trading and categorize business, are concerning. Centralizing such power risks misuse and discrimination against certain small businesses. We propose replacing these sections with Section 3, subsection 1, defining a small, medium, and micro enterprise business as one that trades products and skills of their choice, and revise Section 20, subsection 1, establishing clear rules against unfair trading practices. Our disagreement with the centralized ministerial power is fueled by the adverse impact we have observed in key sections like ESCOM, SA Airways, Denel, Transnet, and Railways, where such power is misused. Deputy Speaker, as things stand, the Western Cape government's hostile treatment of the taxi industry leaves a lot to be desired. We must strongly condemn the manner in which the racist, Zionist, DA-led government treats the taxi industry in this province. For whilst the taxi industry is domestically recognized as a successful business sector, it nevertheless faces continuous challenges such as frequent frivolous impoundment of minibus taxis by government in the Western Cape that wants to liquidate this black-owned business. Deputy Speaker, whilst the National Small Business Enterprise Amendment Bill is a step in the right direction, it requires significant adjustments. These include preventing corruption, decentralizing power, acknowledging the importance of land ownership, supporting the taxi industry, and addressing the complexities involving foreign nationals in our economy. Deputy Speaker, another fact which is worth mentioning: SMMEs must be paid on time when they've delivered services to government and in state-owned entities, because government is killing small and medium enterprises, SMMEs, by delaying payments. Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, SMMEs are business which create jobs. We need to agree that certain SMMEs must be protected and given resources with a condition that they provide sustainable jobs with a living wage, and not give this responsibility to only big businesses. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise Al-Jamal.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Al-Jamal, we support the Small Enterprise Amendment Bill by the ANC. And it is because of such beautiful legislation from the ANC that the ANC will be winning the upcoming elections nationally and provincially in the Western Cape also. And I have, in the holy month of Ramadan, on the night of Laylatul Qadr, I have prayed and I made a special prayer in a dua that the ANC will win this upcoming election nationally and provincially, inshallah. Shukran. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the DA supports the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill. This legislation addresses several key areas that are crucial for the advancement of small enterprises in South Africa. The DA acknowledges the bill's primary objective to provide affordable and effective access to justice for small enterprises. The establishment of the Small Enterprise Ombuds Service is particularly notable as it offers streamlined process for the adjudication of complaints. This service is designed to be efficient and economical, providing small enterprises with a viable platform to resolve disputes without the high costs associated with formal litigation. Moreover, the bill aims to enhance the overall ecosystem for the development and growth of small enterprises. Given the high unemployment rates in our country, Empowering small businesses is essential. These enterprises are significant drivers of job creation and economic activity at the local level. The committee believes that the measures proposed in this bill will support small enterprises in their efforts to contribute more effectively to our economy as well as to grow. The inclusive approach taken in drafting this bill is commendable. It also incorporates input from a diverse range of stakeholders, including the City of Cape Town, the Western Cape Government, and various municipalities. This collaborative effort ensures that the bill is comprehensive and considers the diverse needs of small enterprises across different regions. While the DA supports the bill, we also recommended certain clarifications and amendments to enhance its effectiveness. We seek greater clarity on the powers of the Minister concerning the declaration of unfair trading practices and propose refinements to the language to prevent unintended consequences. Additionally, we suggest a more detailed assessment of external economic risks in its social economic impact assessment report. This would help to better prepare for unforeseen disruptions. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the DA supports this bill.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I have to announce that there are currently 29 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House at the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill be ratified and adopted. No objections? Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. I will now ask Mr. Pochenpoel to please read up. I will now ask our table staff to please read the third order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Climate Change Bill B9B 2022.
Thank you very much. The House has received the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Climate Change Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Good mornings to everyone present. Deputy Speaker, am I audible?
You are. You may proceed.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the ANC supports the climate change bill. In the words of our National Minister, the Honourable Grisi, and I quote, "The climate change bill will provide a much-needed legal framework to regulate activities that contribute to climate change, ensure an effective response in all spheres of government, and by the society at large, ensure a just transition and maximize the opportunities afforded to our economy by the global shift to a green economy," quote end. The aims of this bill are to, among others, enable the development of an effective climate change response by our country and to ensure a long-term just transition to a low carbon and climate resilient economy and society in the context of sustainable development. The bill sets out to guarantee that climate actions are pursued and planned across the 3 spheres of government. It establishes provincial forums on climate change and municipal forums on climate change, which will be integrated into current institutions and planning processes. The bill also provides for the development of provincial and municipal climate change needs and response assessment and corresponding climate change response implementation plans. At the apex, the bill institutionalizes the Presidential Climate Commission established by President Ramaphosa as an independent organ of state to advise on matters of a just transition. The bill provides a clear framework for mitigation, adaptation, and mechanism to support and finance the country's climate change response. Deputy Speaker, the consistent failure of this provincial government here in the Western Cape to establish a provincial environmental commissioner allows for the ANC to welcome such instruments, such as this bill by national government. How relieved the people of the Western Cape could have been to know that the matter of climate change, which affects all of us adversely, but the poorest of the poor the most, is taken seriously by their provincial government. Sadly, climate change is not being taken seriously by this DA-led government. We have seen consistent cuts in the climate change budget in the department responsible, and it is in this light that the ANC support this bill. Lastly, Deputy Speaker, I'm glad to announce that the ANC aligned or coalition government coming in after 29th of May will definitely appoint the Environmental Commissioner. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognise the EFF.
Enkosi kakhulu esekela sihlalo walendlu yowesomthetho yephondo. Those who are most vulnerable socio-economically bear the brunt of the impact of extreme weather patterns as witnessed in many places. Yet they are part of a continent that is home to 18% of the world population, but contributes a mere 4% to the global emissions that lead to climate change. Deputy Speaker, the EFF agrees that we need to develop policies that will ensure that we respond effectively to mitigate climate change disasters in a manner that will lessen the impact on people. But the government has dismally failed to use the available mechanisms already in place to protect the lives of the poorest of the poor during natural disasters. Given the inevitability of these climate-induced disasters, we need to have effective adaptation measures to climate change. Deputy Speaker, it is worth mentioning that the incentive to finalize the bill in question as quickly as possible was as a result of the Just Energy Transition Investment Plan, where the funding commitment was increased from 8.5 billion US dollars to $11.8 billion. The Just Energy Transition Investment Plan gives effect to Just Energy Transition Partnership signed at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, a few years ago. Wealthy developed nations are pledging $11.8 billion to South Africa to transition from coal-based energy generation to renewable energy. Wealthy nations, Deputy Speaker, have developed their economies using coal to the detriment of the environment. Developing nations now have to bear the brunt of that advancement and are told that they need to transition from carbon-based energy sources to renewable energy sources. Deputy Speaker, we find ourselves being dictated to through the power of money from using coal-based energy and switch to renewable energy, and in turn export our coal to the very countries which dictate us to go green. Deputy Speaker, as the EFF, we are not opposed. I must reiterate, Deputy Speaker, we are not opposed to the notion of clean environment, the reduction of emissions. However, Deputy Speaker, we are opposed to imperialism, and we therefore reject this bill. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasiba. I now recognise Al-Jamal.
Thank you very much again, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Speaker, the Al-Jamal, we support the bill, and we are very confident that after 29 May, that the ANC will lead here in the Western Cape, as well as the country, and the ANC will appoint the Environmental Commissioner. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Agbare adjunct Speaker, na baie jare van ontkenning word die wetenskaplike bewyse dat die aarde se temperatuur besig is om te styg, nou wyd aanvaar. Waaroor daar wel nog verskil word, is die presiese aard van die klimaatsveranderinge wat op ons wag. Sommige dele op aarde kan meer reën verwag. Baie dele, en dit sluit waarskynlik groot dele van die Weskaap en veral die winterreënstreke in, kan 'n vermindering in reënval verwag. Wat ons wel weet, is dat ons moet staal vir verandering.
en dat ons waarskynlik al meer uitgelewer sal word tot klimaatsuiterstes met 'n al groter voorkoms van droogtes en aan die ander kant groter en meer gereelde vloede. Dit is dus noodsaaklik dat ook die regsomgewing by hierdie nuwe uitdagings sal aanpas. Die staande komitee op landbou, omgewingsake en ontwikkelingsbeplanning het groot erns gemaak met hierdie wetsontwerp. Soveel so dat ons 19 bladsye se insette ter oorweging aan die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies deurgestuur het. Verskeie ander provinsies het ook verbeterings aan die wetsontwerp voorgestel. Van die grootste punte van kritiek het ingesluit dat die wet vaag is oor tydsraamwerke en dat daar 'n gebrek aan dringendheid en bindende optrede in die bewoording is. Die wetsontwerp is ook stil oor die befondsing vir provinsies en munisipaliteite wat deur hierdie wetgewing groter verantwoordelikhede bykry. Ongelukkig sien ons te veel dat die sentrale regering, as dit by geldsake kom, soos 'n volstruis sy verantwoordelike kop in die grond druk. Groot beloftes word gemaak, ook oor gesondheidsversekering, voorskooolonderrig en so meer, en dit terwyl die ANC-regering alreeds ons staatsuitgawes met al groeiende skuld moet befonds. Dit was daarom met groot teleurstelling dat ons andermaal moes hoor dat die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies andermaal geen een van die voorgestelde wysigings aan boord geneem het nie. Soos wat ons nou al herhaalde kere gesien het, 'n rubberstempel het geword van die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies met sy ANC meerderheid. Hulle rubberstempel eenvoudig alle voorstelle. Selfs voorstelle van onkontroversiële taalkundige verbeteringe word van die tafel gevee. Publieke deelname word 'n klug, 'n mors van tyd en geld. Die staande komitee moes kies tussen flou, afgewaterde wetgewing of geen wetgewing. 'n Regeringsrespons op klimaatsverandering is so belangrik dat ons nie anders kon as om ons verteenwoordigers die wetsontwerp te laat steun nie. Ek vra dus hierdie huis om die staande komitee se verslag op die wetsontwerp op klimaatsverandering waarin ons die wetgewing steun positief te oorweeg. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie, agbare lid. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Climate Change Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill be ratified and adopted. No objections? Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Climate Change Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Poppenpoel, Ms. Simon, I'm now going to ask Ms. Simon to read the fourth order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill B4 2024.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simon. The House received the report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC. No? I will move over to the EFF.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. The EFF rejects the Division of Revenue Bill because it does not make sense to allocate 9% equitable share to local governments as it falls short of addressing the plight of the poor who depend on basic services such as clean water, effective public health care, etc. Deputy Speaker, the situation in our townships and rural areas is even worse. Many of these areas don't have proper refuse collection system, running water, efficient clinics with shortages in chronic medication. Deputy Speaker, the budget does not speak to the rampant crime which continues to engulf South Africa and more particularly this particular province. The government is failing to invest in proper and visible policing. Not so long ago, Deputy Speaker, 3 SASCO employees were robbed and gunned down in Delft while delivering bread in the township. And this happened in broad daylight, Deputy Speaker, in front of bystanders, but there were no police on site. Deputy Speaker, the proposed a reduction of 400 billion from the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Community Work Program is deeply concerning. The failure to effectively manage contracts and implement programs aimed at addressing unemployment perpetuates a cycle of poverty and inequality. Deputy Speaker, it is for these reasons that we reject the bill as the EFF. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasiba. I now recognize Ol Jamal.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Al Jama, we support the bill, and we want to say thank you very much and shukran to the ANC for sending the equitable share to the Western Cape. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that if we are grateful for our share and we are thankful for our share, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase for us. وَإِذْ تَأَذَّنَ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. The more grateful we are for our share, لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ, the more Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase for us in His bounties. وَلَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنَّ عَذَابِ لَشَدِيدٌ. If we are ungrateful for the share which Allah ta'ala has given to us, if we are ungrateful, then the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very, very severe. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the 2024 Division of Revenue Bill, which sets out how nationally raised tax revenue is divided between each sphere of government, was referred to the Budget Committee. This bill determines the vast majority of funding available for the Western Cape government's budget as well as other provinces. And just to be clear, Deputy Speaker, it is not a favour for the ANC national government to send us money. It is mandated by the Constitution. Once again, the Western Cape was shortchanged. Provinces have still not received the full amount to cover the public service wage increase that was agreed to centrally by the national government last year. This means provincial governments had to cut programs to cover the shortfall of the wage increase. In addition, several key conditional grants that has been decimated for the Western Cape from national government, including the Alima Letsema land reform grant with a 27.7% cut, the informal settlements upgrading partnership grant with a 24.4% cut, and the social sector expanded public works program incentive grant with a 32.2% cut. Further, the census data has still not been incorporated. The DA does not support a division of revenue that will take away funding and services from those in a society that need it most, and therefore we support the ratification of the report to not support the bill.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I have to announce that there are currently 30 Honourable Members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House at the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill be ratified and adopted. No objections?
Object.
Objections there are. Those in favour of the report be ratified and adopted, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The report of the Budget Committee on the Division of Revenue Bill has therefore been adopted. If Ms. Simon could now read, please, the fifth order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Standing Committee on Education on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill B2D 2022.
Thank you very much, Ms. Simon. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Education on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the African National Congress, a political party that carries the aspirations of our people and genuine interest at heart, I rise today to support the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill. This crucial piece of legislation proposed by our national government is paramount in addressing the evolving needs of our educational landscape, guided by the principles of inclusivity, equity, and efficiency. The Bella Bill stands as a testament to our commitment to continuously transform and improve our education system in response to the changing demographics of our communities. It draws upon findings from judicial rulings, as well as insights garnered through the diligent monitoring of schools by national government. Its aim is not only to address the administrative hurdles, but also to advance the noble objectives of our nation's education transformation agenda. Honorable Deputy Speaker, despite baseless opposition from certain quarters, the objectives of the Bella Bill remain crystal clear: to foster a more inclusive, equitable, and effective basic education system. Its provisions, encompassing over 50 clauses, aim to address long-standing challenges that have impeded the progress of our education ecosystem. It is deeply regrettable that the Democratic Alliance and its minions, such as the ACDP and the Freedom Front Plus, in the failed Moonshot Pact, right-wing Moonshot Pact, have chosen to spread misinformation regarding the objectives of the bill. They've deliberately pounced on religious sensitivity, something which goes against the building of an inclusive Western Cape and an inclusive nation. False claims suggesting an erosion of school governing body powers, the introduction of pregnancy termination in schools, or the infringement upon parental rights in home education must be dispelled unequivocally. The truth is evident. The Bella Bill upholds the rights of SGBs, does not introduce clauses on pregnancy termination, and respects the prerogative of parents on home education. Additionally, the assertion that the bill will encroach upon the autonomy of school governing bodies regarding language and admission policies is untrue, and it's actually a defense of racism. Instead, it aims to harmonize directives issued by provincial heads of departments, HODs. SGBs will retain their vital powers in determining various policies affecting the governance of schools, including language and admissions policies. However, what is accurate and true and correct is that due to this particular bill, no school in the Western Cape or the country at large will any longer be able to employ language and admissions policies to discriminate and exclude Black, African, colored, and Indian children from schooling, like we saw happening in Oudtshoorn at the admission of officials in this department.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
This is the core issue that the bill seeks to address, and it is on those grounds that the DA stands fiercely in opposition to the Bella Bill, in the same reason as to why they oppose the NHI. It is the same reason they oppose the
Thank you,
affirmative
Honourable
action and triple BE, have opposed all transformation legislation passed by the ANC, and it is on this basis that this House, that we support the Bella Bill and we welcome the passing in the NCOP, and we call on our public to vote for the African National Congress and remove this racist DA from the Western Cape.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your time is up. I now recognise the Honourable EFF.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. The EFF is in support of the amendment to the SA Schools Act, which seeks to make education compulsory from grade R and all the way through to grade 12. Deputy Speaker, the criminalization of anyone who blocks children from attending schools without a just cause is a step in the right direction, and it should be welcomed, and we must even go as far as criminalizing all parents who do not take their children to school, Deputy Speaker. The future of the constitution and the constitutional rights of our children to access education cannot be sacrificed at the altar of those selfish residents whose irrational decision negatively affects the intellectual development of children. Deputy Speaker, we would have preferred for we would have preferred for discriminatory policies in schools to be centralized and formulated at the national level rather than being left at the hands of the SGB for purposes of uniformity. As we outline in our 2024 manifesto, where we advocate that each school must have 2 social workers appointed to provide counseling and career guidance to each school with an aim to deal with problems which affect learners at the school and to understand social problems that lead many learners to drop out of school. We are still of the view, Deputy Speaker, that this remains critical and no school must be without a library. Deputy Speaker, we're also in support of the powers to be given to the heads of department HODs to make final determination of the language or policy to the schools. This function cannot be left to the SGBs, as many in previously white schools still use language to exclude many Black children. We further submit that the standardization of languages should be centralized in the department and not different HODs from different provinces. The same logic must apply to for code of conduct for all schools. This function must be centralized, this department, not SGBs. This is in particular in the Western Cape, where Afrikaans is used to exclude African learners. We are completely in agreement with the total deletion of clause 8, which deals with the sale of alcohol in our schools. There shouldn't be any sale of alcohol on the premises of any school, Speaker. Deputy Speaker, we also want to remove stringent legislative approach on schools admissions policy. The admission policy must be that of department, and so is the school placement system. There are some schools which continue to discriminate when it comes to learners' admission, especially here in the Western Cape. Deputy Speaker, with regards to disciplinary hearings, we must submit that learners should be able to bring in parents as their representatives. I'm concluding, Deputy Speaker, there should be no case where a child is facing a disciplinary hearing without the presence of the guardian. This is so because most learners end up having adverse findings being ordered against them in disciplinary hearings, which involve expulsion from school. Then it takes most months for the matter to be resolved by the MEC on appeal, and having the learner standard behind with schoolwork. Also, when it comes to learners, the appeal process against expulsion, the decision of the HOD must be suspended until the outcome is. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much. I now recognize Al-Jamaa.
Thank you, Speaker. Al-Jamaa, no contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Standing Committee on Education concluded its negotiating mandate report on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill on 15 April 2024 and its final mandate report on the 29th of April 2024. This was after the committee concluded 8 public hearings on the bill in Beaufort West, Pieto George, Mossel Bay, Paarl, Saldanha Bay, and 2 in Cape Town, one of which was specifically to make it more convenient for those observing the Ramadan month in order for them to attend. At deadline of the public participation on midnight on 4 April, the committee had 2,997 persons in total attending its public hearings and had received 5,445 submissions composing of written, online, and WhatsApp submissions. The committee submitted an extensive negotiating mandate report, ultimately objecting to the bill and requesting for it to be withdrawn. The NCOP amended the bill and sent provinces a D bill to consider. The committee concluded that the NCOP had not satisfactorily addressed key failures of the bill, and in committee unanimously voted to reject the bill completely in its final mandate. The bill still poses a serious threat to the rights of parents, educators, and learners and will result in a multi-billion rand fiscal disaster if implemented. The changes made to clauses 2, 4, and 5, which deal with the implementation of mandatory grade R and language and admissions policy respectively, do not adequately address the very real concerns expressed by the public. Further, the public procurement clause still does not allow schools to opt into procurement, but rather requiring them to opt out. Further, clause 35 dealing with homeschooling is still unchanged, as well as clause 39 dealing with the management of learner pregnancies, giving the minister a blank check for drafting regulations. The DA believe power should be as close to the people as possible and not centralized in Pretoria. In addition, the bill is not properly costed or funded either from National Treasury or the Department of Basic Education, meaning effectively that each province will still be liable for more than 2 billion rand each per year to implement Bella, this is the same as shutting down the whole Department of Community Safety in the province. This bill stands to cost the taxpayer 18 billion rand, even when not including several uncosted expenses. This bill would be fiscally irresponsible to agree to. The Democratic Alliance supports the ratification of the report. To object to the bill.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I have to announce that there are currently 30 Honourable Members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Education on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill be ratified and adopted. No objections? Agreed to. There are objections. Those in favour of the report being ratified and adopted, please say aye.
Aye. No.
Aye.
The report,
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The Committee on Education on the Basic Education Laws Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Pochenpoel will read the sixth order of the day.
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Public Procurement Bill, B18D 2023.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pochenpoel. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Public Procurement Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It has actually become a standard that the Democratic Alliance would not support anything that has to do with equalizing the playing fields in South Africa in the interest of all. Because according to the Democratic Alliance, all is only the elite, which is the white males, that are actually still holding the echelons of economic power in South Africa and ignoring the constitutional imperative of redress and socio-economic rights of all in South Africa. As the ANC, we unequivocally support the public procurement bill, describe a framework for preferential framework procurement. This bill is a pivotal step towards enhancing the efficiency, transparency, and inclusivity of the public procurement system in South Africa. Deputy Speaker, we must understand the primary objective of this bill as wanting to establish a comprehensive framework that regulates public procurement. This framework is designed to streamline public procurement processes, reduce complexity, and eliminate inconsistencies across different sectors and levels of government. By doing so, the bill aims to foster a more transparent and accountable procurement environment. This framework is essential for promoting socio-economic objectives of the government, ensuring that public procurement contributes to the broader goals of economic empowerment and social development of our country. The bill addresses the current fragmentation in public procurement legislation by consolidating various laws and regulations into a unified framework as indicated by the courts. This consolidation aligns public procurement practices with international best practices where appropriate, making the system more coherent and easier to navigate for procuring entities and suppliers. Incorporating international best practices into the public procurement system is another critical objective of the bill. This alignment ensures that South Africa's procurement processes are efficient, competitive, transparent, but also value for money for all citizens of our country, thus enhancing the country's attractiveness to both local and international markets. The bill is also instrumental in advancing the government's socio-economic policy objective by prescribing a framework for preferential procurement. The bill ensures that public procurement is used as a tool to support disadvantaged groups, promote local industry, and stimulate economic growth. This is in line with the ANC's commitment to inclusive development and economic transformation. In conclusion, the ANC family believes that the public procurement bill will significantly improve the public procurement landscape in South Africa, and thus the ANC unequivocally support this bill. I thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognise the Honourable EFF.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, over the years, public procurement has been a subject of a growing debate, more particularly in relation to transformation. The repeal of the Preferential Procurement Policy Framework Act should be seen as a progressive step, provided that whatever replaces it will not be its replica, but something which will build on transformation and inclusion. Deputy Speaker, the EFF's position on the role of the state when it comes to public procurement has always challenged the traditional approaches. The EFF's vision is also clearly articulated in our founding manifesto and policy framework, which centers around the idea of building state capacity with the retention of core functions, prioritization of human capital, and economic growth takes precedence over reliance on the profit-driven private sector. Deputy Speaker, the EFF rejects wholesale outsourcing as intimated in the bill. Under the EFF's model, the state which employs this under the EFF's bill rather. Under the EFF's model, the state should employ skilled professionals, including engineers, quantity surveyors, project managers, and builders for essential tasks such as constructing infrastructure, housing, and recreational facilities, because we do not want a system that is rigid and incapable of flexibility. To add, Deputy Speaker, in March this year, we wrote a letter to the Minister of Infrastructure in the province to intervene in a matter of Ms. Lulama Patricia, who currently resides in the KTC informal settlement, despite her house being one of the houses which were built in 2010 under a provincial project. All other houses were completed in 2010 other than hers. Deputy Speaker, despite Ms. Lulama being a senior citizen and pensioner, the letter we sent to the Provincial Minister of Infrastructure to intervene in this matter fell on deaf ears. It was ignored and the situation has not changed. Whilst we are not happy about how the Department of Infrastructure is run in this province, as articulated above, we reserve our position on the National Public Procurement Bill. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kassim. I now recognise Al-Jamal.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker Al-Jamal, we support the public procurement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The DA does not support the public procurement bill. We recognise the bill's aim to consolidate procurement laws into a single framework, but significant concerns remain. The bill's reliance on regulations and race-based categories in preferential procurement is problematic. This approach does not adequately address the diverse economic landscape of South Africa. Our procedural concerns are particularly troubling. The limited time allocated, only 2 weeks for public engagement, is insufficient for such an important matter. This rushed timeframe undermines the constitutionally mandated duty of public participation. Through consultation, or thorough consultation, is essential to ensure the bill reflects the needs and aspirations of all stakeholders. Furthermore, the financial implications of the bill are unclear. The Socio-Economic Impact Assessment report indicated significant implementation costs, yet the bill's memorandum suggests minimal financial costs. This discrepancy raises concerns about the potential unfunded mandates placed on local governments, straining already limited resources. Substantively, the bill lacks clarity in over 40 key definitions, leading to potential ambiguities in its implementation. Terms such as functionality, sustainable development, and types of procurement methods need precise definitions to avoid confusion and ensure effective enforcement. The roles and powers of Public Procurement Office and its head also require clear articulation to safeguard against undue influence and ensure independence. Governance and oversight are also critical issues. The bill centralizes significant power in the hands of the National Minister, risking excessive delegation of law-making authority. As the DA, we advocate for preserving the autonomy of provinces and municipalities in procurement matters as mandated by the Constitution. A more decentralized approach would respect the constitutional autonomy of different government spheres and promote effective local governance. In conclusion, While we recognise the need for reform in public procurement, the current bill falls short of providing a transparent, accountable and financially sound framework. Significant amendments are needed to ensure greater public participation, constitutional compliance and an integrated approach to financial management. Madam Deputy Speaker, the DA does not and cannot support this bill. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Murray. I have to announce that there are currently 29 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Public Procurement Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill be ratified and adopted. No objections?
Object.
No objections.
No
Those in
objections.
favour of the
objections.
report being ratified and adopted, please say aye.
No.
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes have it. The report of the Standing
Aye.
Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Public Procurement Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Bochenpoel, will you please read the 7th order of the day?
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Railway Safety Bill, B7B 2021.
Thank you very much. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Railway Safety Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognise the ANC. No? I now recognise the EFF. No.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Over to you, Honourable Kasim.
Thank you very much. Deputy Speaker, today most of the railway tracks lie dormant, overgrown with grass and overall depleted infrastructure. It is sad that in some areas one finds vandalized railway tracks and people driven by hunger as a result of high unemployment rates, which have taken them to scrapyards in exchange for money. Deputy Speaker, we are by no way promoting crime in whatever form it manifests itself in society. However, this is a state of reality under the failing ANC government. In most parts of the country, there are no moving trains whatsoever. The few which continue to run efficiently and safely with clean stations are those that transport domestic workers into predominantly white suburbs like Cape Town and Stellenbosch in the Western Cape. Deputy Speaker, despite our current struggles with mass commuter transportation through the railway system, it is equally imperative that we reconstruct a railway system that is not solely focused on transporting minerals from inland mines to harbours or farming workers from townships. We envision a regional and integrated transport system. In conclusion, Deputy Speaker, at the National Assembly, we abstained on the bill in its current form and efficiencies, and we will do so here as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasim. I recognise Al Jamal.
Thank you, Speaker. No declaration.
Thank you very much. I now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Deputy Speaker, I believe we will all agree that railway safety is extremely important. We need to, again, make rail transport the preferred transport option of many South Africans, for commuters, but also for long-distance public transport of goods, particularly the long-distance hauling of heavy loads. The Railway Safety Bill was already introduced to the National Assembly on the 19th of March 2021, more than 3 years ago. This bill was not controversial due to a combination of poor program management, poor leadership, and a lack of urgency. This bill was only now finalized, following some last-minute scrambling by the National Council of Provinces last Thursday. The Railway Safety Bill seeks to repeal the National Railway Safety Regulator Act and to create a new framework for Railway Safety Regulator, whose task, as the name implies, is to oversee and regulate rail safety in South Africa. It requires the application of safety standards, such as the issuing of railway safety permits to operators, and to ensure compliance with safety requirements. A national railway safety information and monitoring system will be implemented to provide consistent safety policies, norms and standards nationwide. The bill establishes a legal framework for enforcing safety laws and effectively dealing with railway incidents, including processes for appeals. Its objectives are aligned with broader goals, such as promoting safer railway operations, increasing stakeholder collaboration, aligning with the regional standards, and guaranteeing efficient governance for railway safety. For these reasons, the Standing Committee on Mobility supported the Railway Safety Bill in its final mandate, despite the inability of the NCOP, due to their rushed schedule over the last few weeks, to properly consider our proposed amendments to the bill. I therefore ask this House to ratify the committee's report. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable van der Westhuizen. I have to announce that there are currently 29 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House at the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Railway Safety Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill, be ratified and adopted. No objections? Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Railway Safety Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Pochompol, will you read the 8th order of the day, please?
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Marine Pollution, Prevention of Pollution from Ships Amendment Bill B5 2022.
Thank you very much. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Marine Pollution, Prevention of Pollution from Ships Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, on behalf of the Congolese movement, the African National Congress, the ANC in this legislature supports the Marine Pollution Amendment Bill. The coastline of the Western Cape accounts for 1,000 kilometers of our country's 2,800 kilometers of coastline. It is the longest of all the 4 coastal provinces. We must therefore lead in welcome the ANC-led national government's effort to safeguard our coastline and especially bring existing legislation up to date with international norms and standards. As colleagues in this House would know, the Marine Pollution Amendment Bill seeks to revise legislation preventing the pollution from ships. The amendment bill aligns with the MARPOL Convention, which sets international standards for preventing pollution from ships while giving guidelines on proper stowing, handling and transfer of toxic waste, as well as the disposal of hazardous waste like cleaning materials. The bill also seeks to reduce air pollution caused by ships, regulate disposal of garbage at sea, as well as the discharge of sewage into the sea. Deputy Speaker, the Western Cape closes a 3rd year administration without an environmental commissioner. The people of this province must know that should the ANC be elected, and definitely the ANC will be elected into power in the Western Cape, next week, that one of the first things we will do is establish an environmental commissioner who will ensure the protection of our environment. There should be no doubt that South Africa and the Western Cape in particular has had its fair share of spills and hazardous materials into the oceans. Throughout the history of the Cape of Good attracting vessels from across the globe, our weather conditions have made it prone for vessels and their, at times, dangerous materials to place our marine life at peril. We must therefore see this amendment bill as an opportunity by national government to lead in ensuring that our coastlines and oceans are protected and ensure that our children's children may be able to eat from this coast, but also play in its waters. The ANC supports this bill. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I recognise the EFF.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the Marine Pollution Amendment Bill introduces compliance with our international law obligation and insofar as the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships is concerned. Deputy Speaker, as the EFF, we welcome the position of the bill in ensuring the incorporation of regulations. Toxic spills are a threat to our environment and the marine life. The adherence to the marine pollution, the MARPOL Convention will assist in the reduction and use of toxic material that is promoting and improving a safe and healthy environment. Deputy Speaker, this will also help in protecting marine wildlife and its habitat. We also welcome the mechanism that have been put in place to monitor and investigate incidents in South African waters, although we would have preferred to see the inclusion of heavy sanctions, such as the increase in fines and lengthy imprisonment terms in order to give us the comfort that government is committed to ensuring that polluters are severely punished for their crimes. Deputy Speaker, the introduction of severe penalties will also serve as a deterrent. Deliberate dumping of waste from multinational corporations through either air or marine conveyance should be factored in, and we should carry hefty fines, including confiscation of such means of conveyance from repeat offenders. In conclusion, all in all, the EFF supports this bill. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasim. I recognise Al Jamal.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, yes, we support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Agbare Young Speaker, ek versoek graag die huis om die staande komitee op landbou, omgewingsake en ontwikkelingsbeplanning se verslag, waarin ons 'n mandaat aan ons afvaardiging in die Nasionale Raad van Provinsies gegee het, naamlik om ten gunste van die wetsontwerp op seebesoedeling te stem, te steun. Interessant genoeg is hierdie wetgewing met belangrike omgewingsimplikasies in die nasionale vergadering deur die vervoerkomitee gehanteer. Dit terwyl die besoedeling van ons oseane baie beslis ernstige omgewingsimplikasies inhou. Vir te lank het 'n vinnig groeiende wêreldbevolking gereken dat die see so groot is dat alle besoedeling genoegsaam verdun sal word om geen invloed op ons lewe en veral die seelewe te hê nie. Het jy al gewonder wat van die rioolwater en afval van 'n passasiersskip word? Het jy al gewonder hoe die water in 'n hawe sal lyk as die riool en ander afval eenvoudig in die hawe of naby 'n kus gestort word? Vir te lank was daar 'n gebrek in internasionale standaarde vir hierdie en soortgelyke besoedelings wat skepe meebring. Toevallig het hier in Kaapstad se hawe in die tyd wat hierdie wetsontwerp deur die staande komitee oorweeg is, 'n skip, die El Kuwait, met 19.000 beeste in Kaapstad se hawe vasgemeer. Foto's van diere besmeer met ontlasting en veral die reuk van urium en ontlasting het Kaapenaars hulle neuse laat toedruk en talle inwoners warm onder die kraag gehad. En ons kon nie wag dat daardie skip so gou moontlik die hawe verlaat nie. Die kaptein het beloof dat die dekke en ruime so gou moontlik skoon gespuit sou word. Ek vra u, kan ons werklik glo dat die ontlasting en urium nie in die see afgewas sou word nie? Hierdie wetsontwerp is in ooreenstemming met internasionale verdrae en standaarde wat nou van skepe vereis om of 'n rioolaanleg aan boord te hê of om die rioolwater in groot tenke te stoor en dat hierdie tenke dan by hawens oorgepomp sal word om sodoende afgevoer te word na rioolaanlegte waar dit behoorlik behandel kan word. Jy is moontlik ook bewus van die risiko's wat die uitspoel van tankskepe, veral olietankschepe se ruime vir die omgewing inhou. Nie net mens die gevaar van oliebesoedeling nie, maar ook die verspreiding van organismes in hierdie seewater oor die lengte en breedte van die aardbol. Die grootste kritiek teen hierdie wetsontwerp was dat dit eintlik baie vroeër hanteer moes word om Suid-Afrika se wetgewing veel vinniger in lyn met internasionale protokolle en ooreenkomste te bring. Ek het dus die vrymoedigheid om die huis te vra om die verslag van die komitee te steun. Baie dankie.
Thank you very much, Honourable van der Westhuizen. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Marine Pollution, Prevention of Pollution from Ships Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill, be ratified and adopted. No objections? Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning on the Marine Pollution, Prevention of Pollution from Ships Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Portenpool, please read the 9th order of the day.
consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism and the Standing Committee on Infrastructure on the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill B23B 2023.
Thank you very much. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities, Tourism and Infrastructure on the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill, conferring authority on Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. ANC unequivocally supports the proposed amendments to the Electricity Regulation Act 2006. This amendment is a crucial step towards modernizing South Africa's electricity sector, enhancing regulatory frameworks and ensuring a more reliable and efficient energy supply. The proposed amendments include the deletion amendment and insertion of certain definitions to ensure clarity and relevance in the application of the Act. This modernization is essential for aligning the Act with contemporary energy challenges and opportunities. The amendments empower the National Regulatory Energy Regulator to consider applications for licenses and to oversee the licensing process effectively. This regulatory oversight is crucial for promoting transparency, accountability, and fair competition within the electricity sector. The amendment provides for the development of additional electricity generation capacity and infrastructure. This includes measures to support the expansion of renewable energy sources, thereby promoting energy diversification and sustainability. The amendments establish the Transmission System Operator, SOC Limited, and outline its duties, powers, and functions. This entity plays a pivotal role in ensuring the efficient and reliable transmission of electricity across the national grid, supporting the integration of renewable energy and enhancing grid resilience. The amendments introduce an open market platform to facilitate competitive electricity trading within reasonable means. This platform promotes market efficiency, encourages investment in electricity generation, and empowers consumers by providing them with choice and flexibility in sourcing their electricity needs. The amendments include provisions for enforcing compliance with regulatory requirements, including offenses and penalties for non-compliance. These measures are essential for maintaining the integrity of the electricity market and safeguarding the interest of consumers and stakeholders. In conclusion, the ANC views the proposed amendment to the Electricity Regulation Act as a critical step towards modernizing and transforming the electricity sector in South Africa. By promoting competition, enhancing regulatory oversight, and expanding electricity infrastructure, these amendments contribute to ANC's broader objectives of economic growth, job creation, and sustainable development. The ANC supports the bill. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Nkondlo. I now recognize the EFF.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, from the outset, I would like to make it clear that the EFF rejects the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill. It is our position, Deputy Speaker, as the EFF, that the collapse of Eskom is intentional and was done in order to pave way for bills such as this. National government collapsed the electricity generation. They intentionally failed to maintain power stations. They allowed companies selling coal to Eskom, such as Glencore and the President's company, Shanduka, to inflate coal prices in order to bankrupt Eskom. Deputy Speaker, the government did not stop there. It continued to fire competent staff at Eskom in order to pave way for this bill. Blackouts in the form of load shedding were also intentionally manufactured so that later on a bill such as this one would be introduced under the guise of opening the markets to allow more competitive electricity trading. Deputy Speaker, this move is to privatize electricity in the country to make it expensive and to benefit and to benefit a certain few with deep pockets. Under an EFF government, Deputy Speaker, there is no private sector that will be allowed to control South Africa's energy generation capacity, because they can easily use energy generation as a weapon against us in order to give us instructions on how to run our country. Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, we do not want to wake up one day and when we want to expropriate land without compensation, then they threaten us to switch off all electricity because they do not want to agree with us with expropriation of land without compensation. It is for these reasons that we do not support the electricity regulation bill. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Kasim. I recognise Al-Jamal.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Al-Jamaa, we fully support this amendments to the electricity bill of the ANC. We fully support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We now recognise the Democratic Alliance.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the process followed by the NCOP in forcing through the electricity regulation amendment bill is deeply flawed. The members of this House did not have adequate time to consider this legislation. The fact that there was no time for a proper public participation process should disqualify this bill from being passed. It is a slap in the face of the Western Cape people, and it is indicative of the ANC's disregard for anyone's interest but their own. On the 15th April 2024, the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism and the Standing Committee on Infrastructure wrote to the NCOP chairperson requesting an extension to process the bill or to revive the bill in the 7th Parliament. Despite numerous follow-ups emails by the Western Cape Office of the Speaker, on its request, the committee sent further correspondence withdrawing its request for an extension and reaffirming its request for the bill to be revived in the 7th Parliament. Given the technical nature of the bill and the need for more meaningful public participation, a response from the NCOP was only received on the 3rd of May 2024, 2 weeks after the committee sent their original correspondence to the chairperson of the NCOP. The lack of response and consideration given by the NCOP to the WCPP had severely impacted on the committee's ability to adequately process the bill. Moreover, the timelines that were provided for the bill in the Select Committee's program were objectively inadequate to facilitate adequate public participation, given the technical nature of the bill and the major economic importance. Due to these reasons, Deputy Speaker, the DA therefore cannot support this bill as it does not comply with the constitutional requirements for adequate public participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mseko. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism and the Standing Committee on Infrastructure on the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP not to support this bill be ratified and adopted. Any objections?
Object.
There are objections. Those in favour of the report being ratified and adopted, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Finance, Economic Opportunities and Tourism on the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. Mr. Pochempel, will you read the 10th order of the day, please?
Consideration of the report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill, B8D 2020.
Thank you very much. The House received the report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill. This mandate has been sent to the NCOP. I will now afford parties an opportunity to make a declaration if they so wish. I recognize the ANC.
Good morning, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, honorable members of the House, the African National Congress expressed its support for the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill, recognizing its importance in enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of the transport regulatory framework in South Africa. This bill seeks to amend the Transport Appeal Tribunal Act of 1998 to address evolving challenges and ensure that the tribunal remains responsive to the needs of our dynamic transport sector. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the bill includes provision to insert, delete, and amend certain definitions to bring the Transport Appeal Tribunal Act in line with the developments since its enactment in 1998. This alignment is essential for ensuring that the Act remains relevant and responsive to the evolving landscape of the transportation industry. The amendments empower the Transport Appeal Tribunal with enhanced powers to fulfill its mandate effectively. This includes granting the tribunal the authority to take appropriate steps in cases where its rulings are not implemented or effected timeously, as well as investigating delays in the completion of its proceedings. These measures are crucial for ensuring compliance with tribunal decisions and expediting the resolution of transport-related dispute. The bill grants the minister the authority to extend the term of office of the members of the Transport Tribunal. This provision enables the continuity and stability within the tribunal, ensuring that it can fulfill its responsibility without interruption or undue turnover of members. By empowering the Transport Appeal Tribunal to address cases where its rulings are not implemented promptly, the bill enhances accountability within the transport regulatory framework. This measure ensures that tribunal decisions are respected and acted upon, thereby fostering compliance with regulatory requirements and promoting a culture of accountability. The amendment enabled the Transport Appeal Tribunal to investigate delays in the completion of its proceedings, facilitating the timely resolution of transport-related disputes. This streamlining of tribunal processes enhances efficiency and ensures that justice is delivered swiftly to all parties involved. In conclusion, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the ANC views the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill as a significant legislative initiative that will strengthen the regulatory framework governing transportation in South Africa. By updating definition, empowering the tribunal, and promoting efficiency and accountability, this bill contributes to the ANC's broader objective of promoting inclusive economic growth and development. I therefore, on behalf of the ANC, support the bill. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vimbi. I now recognize the EFF.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, the EFF supports the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill. The proposed amendment aims to empower the Transport Appeal Tribunal to take appropriate steps in cases where its rulings are not implemented or effective timeously, to investigate delays in the completion of its proceedings, and also to allow the Minister to extend the term of office of the members of the tribunal. The powers give the Transport Appeal Tribunal to impose time limits for performing duties to ensure implementation of the entity's decision, to enforce compliance, and to investigate and act against parties who deliberately delay proceedings are mostly welcome. In conclusion, Deputy Speaker, we support the changes in definitions and other areas of the bill to be in line with the National Land Transport Act of 2009, and we also welcome the emphasis on the appointment of members with expertise in transport. We support this bill. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kasim. I recognize Al Jamal.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, we support the ANC. Viva the ANC. Viva.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I now recognize the Democratic Alliance.
Deputy Speaker, road transport has become an extremely important role player in the public transport field. As recently as August last year, we in the Western Cape have witnessed firsthand the disruption, the hardship, and the damage to life and the economy when that is disrupted through strike action. The sight of thousands of commuters walking home late afternoon along the N2, many with their daily groceries in shopping bags, is still haunting me. It is therefore of the utmost importance that the regulatory environment functions well. The Transport Appeal Tribunal deals with appeals relating to applications for road transport operating licenses. Aggrieved parties can appeal and approach the tribunal to consider the decisions or actions of the National Public Transport Regulator, provincial regulatory entities, as well as municipal regulatory entities. The amendment bill aims to update the Transport Appeal Tribunal Act of 1998 to reflect recent developments and revised definitions. It is hoped that these amendments will greatly improve the functioning of the tribunal and therefore contribute to an improved public road transport system. The Standing Committee on Mobility therefore supports the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill. This bill further aims to authorize the Transport Appeal Tribunal to take the necessary action in cases where its findings are not implemented or effected in a timely manner, as well as to investigate delays in the completion of its processes and to provide for related matters. Deputy Speaker, I therefore ask of this House to accept and ratify the report of this committee in which it supported this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable van der Westhuizen. I have to announce that there are currently 30 honourable members present and entitled to vote, and the House is therefore quorate. The question put before the House that the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill, conferring authority on the Western Cape delegation in the NCOP to support this bill, be ratified and adopted. Any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The report of the Standing Committee on Mobility on the Transport Appeal Tribunal Amendment Bill has therefore been adopted. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the adoption of our reports. I'm wishing all members all the best for the upcoming elections. That concludes the business for the day. The House is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you,
Vote
ma'am.
EFF. Vote EFF.